For many, Star Citizen is a game full of promise and potential possibilities with a lot to get excited about. I, like many others out there, have a real interest bordering on an obsession with the ships in Star Citizen, with very few being as highly anticipated as the RSI Perseus. With its aggressive profile and large weaponry, is the dawn of the Perseus approaching? The RSI Perseus was initially announced back in November of 2020, and since that time has had fans obsessing over the ship and its potential applications ever since. With the recent announcement in March's monthly report, its release is closer than ever. According to the report, the RSI Perseus passed its white box review at the start of March. Like the Apollo, some areas progressed visually thanks to the RSI kit. The RSI kit has been a game changer for how quickly ships from that manufacturer can move through the various development stages, and this could lead to the Perseus being released much sooner than we had anticipated now that it will be moving into its grey box stage of development. So what is the intended purpose of the Perseus? The Perseus is described as a sub-capital gunboat, capable of shredding other sub-capital Goliaths as part of a larger fleet, providing their heavier firepower and armoured screening to the group. With an impressive list of armament, exceptionally heavy armour from a time before shields were invented in the lore of Star Citizen, it's easy to see how it can fit into that role. While the Hammerhead may be more suited to taking on fighter-sized craft, the Perseus will be the brawn that knocks the larger ships out of the fight. It may not be designed to take down capital corvettes such as the Polaris alone, but as part of a fleet or a larger group of several Perseus, it could be a force to be reckoned with. As we move on to talk about the specifications, it's worth noting that much of this information is still subject to change, and we have not had an update in quite some time. Based on the current information on the RSI website, here is what we could expect. The Perseus is listed as having a length of 100 meters, a width of 50 meters, and a height of 21 meters, which may be surprising to people who expected the Perseus to be closer to the Polaris inside, while it is actually a fair amount smaller than something such as the Anvil Carrack. Bear in mind that ships have often been made larger during the development in the past to make room for everything that is going to be crammed into it, so this could change. The weaponry of the Perseus is listed as boasting 2 twin size 7 manned turrets, 2 remote or automated turrets which are twin size 3 ballistic Gatlings, and of course the 2 size 5 torpedo launchers with 10 torpedoes each for an impressive 20 torpedo payload. What I find interesting here is the mention of the automated remote turrets and whether this will be implemented with the ship, as it's not something that we've seen yet. According to the information pack on the Perseus, twin ballistic Gatling guns can be fully automated or remotely controlled to keep incoming ordnance at bay. Now, we have seen the introduction of PDCs on ships such as the Polaris and a few others, so it'll be interesting if they go down the route of slapping on some PDCs and keeping the turrets as purely remote operated, or will they implement the automated feature with the ship? Only time will tell. From a crew perspective, the Perseus is designed to be operated with a fairly small crew considering its size and firepower, being listed as having both a minimum and maximum crew of 6. I think a realistic crew, depending on what you plan to do with the Perseus, would be from 2 to 4, though I'm sure we will see many solo crewed Perseus out there, myself included in that probably at some point. Looking at the internals, we can get a rough idea of what life will be like aboard the ship for the crew. Towards the front, we can see what appears to be an engineering section and torpedo room, as well as access to the front-mounted size 7 turret. In the centre, we see a gangway spanning across the Perseus's cargo bay, moving into the habitation section with a dedicated mess hall complete with pool table for those long-term patrol deployments. At the very rear we can see the dedicated captain's quarters for whoever is running the vessel, and of course the bunk area for the other members of the crew. Moving one level up, sitting proud atop the Perseus, is the bridge, with what I can only imagine right now has a very impressive view across the front of the ship and that turret. There are also 2 co-pilot seats which I would presume control the remote turrets that were mentioned earlier. In several concept images we also see a vehicle ramp moving up into the cargo section. However, I don't believe that this will be a feature of the Perseus, as these images seem to be a different layout that excludes the walkway mentioned previously as seen in this image. While it could have been a nice addition, if the cargo bay lowers down to the floor similar to something like a Constellation, it probably isn't needed, to be honest. So what are the possible uses of the Perseus? Of course, there is the role within the larger combat or patrol fleet as a damage dealer to larger ships. With its 50 SCU of cargo capacity, I could see the Perseus being used for high value transporting, where it is critical that cargo gets to its destination in one piece. Being an intimidating ship, escorting of high value cargo haulers in dangerous locations seems a logical role for the Perseus. We may still be a long way away from this, but being part of an AUG built space station defense squad would act as a powerful deterrent against raids. I can also see the Perseus being very popular amongst pirating groups who need the extra firepower either for intimidation or taking down larger prey such as a Polaris if they are in a group. So when can we expect to see the Perseus? Much of this is speculation and we have no real information other than hints and silhouettes in some RSI media. Depending on who you ask, they will say something different, but I think most believe that it will be this year, sometime in 2025, that we see the Perseus. My personal hope is that with the accelerating progress of development, we could be flying the Perseus as early as Invictus in May. However, there is a strong possibility, and probably more likely, that we will be waiting until IAE in November to get our hands on it. Regardless of when the Perseus releases, it's sure to change the landscape of the verse when it does get here, and could open the door to even more possibilities for larger scale fleet operations for many players and orgs. That's it from me. I'd be interested to know your thoughts and theories on the Perseus in the comments below. And as always, if you find yourself enjoying the video, consider subscribing for more Star Citizen content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.